everyone. Welcome back to We're Talking Shift. I'm Loree Bischoff, along with my co-host, Lauren Young. We're here to talk shift with you because the antidote to feeling stuck and leveling up begins in our minds with a shift in our thinking. Today, Lauren and I dive into the 30 is the new 20 phenomenon. I mean, everywhere we look now, we're seeing headlines, articles, social media touting 30's the new 20, 40's the new 30, 50's the new 40, and on and on. And basically, it's conveying this idea that people are maintaining these youthful lifestyles, youthful appearances, better health, more than in any of our previous generations. But I ask myself, how true is this? I'm not sure. I'm seeing two different things going on simultaneously. So we're going to jump into that and explore that topic. But before we do, Ms. Lauren, we ran out of time on last week's episode to find out how the meetup with the old ex went a couple of weeks ago. For those of who may have missed it, maybe you could just give a quick recap of what the upcoming issue at that time was, what your dilemma was, and then inquiring minds want to know how it all played out.
I am just thrilled to be sharing this today with you, Mrs. B, as I call you sometimes in our coaching sessions. Yes, so my ex and I live in separate cities, and his city is the best city. So I intended to go up and just have a nice lunch at one of my favorite restaurants. And I was going to take the kids, of course, with me. It was a Saturday, drop them off with him to spend the afternoon and then enjoy Korean barbecue. But upon hearing of these plans, he then suggested the four of us get dinner together at one of his favorite restaurants instead. So we were left with the question, how are things going to go? Is Lauren able to stick with the plan and go to lunch at the restaurant she prefers? I had extended the invitation to him to tag along, just in goodwill, I guess, hoping to garner some favor in the relationship, maybe. But yeah. So Saturday morning, you actually texted me and said, "I hope today is what you want it to be," which is just exactly your style of coaching. Because I don't know if you mean it this way, Loree, but it becomes a measure of accountability where I know someone's watching and I need to
Right.
employ the tools and the guidelines we've discussed and hopefully have the day that I've been coached to have, not
Right.
one
Because
that I just kind of
yeah,
fall into
yeah.
or go
It
with the flow.
wasn't have a good day. It was, I hope you have the day that you wanted. Two different things.
Exactly. I appreciate this about your coaching style. So, yeah, that message stuck with me. And in fact, every day since I've woken up and said, I'm going to have the day I want to have today. So, you don't even know how these little things can make a big difference. But I did gather up the girls and we drove up. This was going to be like a later lunch because specifically I was planning to avoid dinner. So we drive up and he ended up really pushing for dinner reservations at this other restaurant. And I ended up telling him, I won't be around for this. I am going to lunch at this restaurant. You may come, you may choose not to come, but this is what I'm doing. I won't be at dinner. So I stuck to my guns on that. And he did
Yay.
try to negotiate in a different way. Then he says, well, if it's not this restaurant, what about this one for dinner? Which was still like a third restaurant. He
Yeah.
clearly wasn't into the Korean barbecue.
And still dinner. He's pushing for dinner.
Yes.
Right.
And the Korean barbecue was the point of the visit for me. I wasn't going to hang out with my ex. I wasn't going to even bring my kids to hang out with him. I was going so I could have my favorite restaurant for lunch. So I kind of reiterated all of that. And I said, you can come or not. That it doesn't make a difference in what my plans are. So the four of us went to Korean barbecue, and this was kind of late lunchtime, and it was absolutely lovely. I enjoyed it. It was very much worth the travel. Um, you know, the company was what it was to be expected, but something else I had discussed with you, Loree, was that I was concerned maybe my extending the invitation was sending him the wrong message. So, and he kind of has a pattern of, since our relationship has shifted from a marital relationship to just a co-parenting relationship, he has a pattern of reading situations differently. Or if I give him a yard, he takes a football field. Or he never seems to think that it's truly over. So, um, sure enough, I walked into the restaurant later than he did. He had already gotten us a table. The girls and I sit down, and I see a text message from him, which he points out, read that text message. Your face. He's commenting on my appearance, that I looked cute that day or looked nice that day or whatever it was, which is a kind thing to say. But first, why is it a text message?
Mhm.
Because he was trying to covertly communicate with me. I don't know. It was a very odd thing. And immediately I knew, yes, this sent him the wrong message. Extending
Mhm.
the invitation, regardless of my intentions, he read it differently than I intended. So that's kind of where we are at this point. And he has since reached out to me and asked if I would like to visit his city again. My city. Let me just,
Uh-huh.
this is my city. I'm just not there right now. If I would like to visit again, this time for a proper dinner date with a babysitter. So I've had to kind of go all the way backwards and say, hey, we don't do this anymore. We're not dating. I'm not your girlfriend. I'm not your wife. I will not be dating you and going to dinner without our children. So that's been tough, but I walked right into that, I guess.
Sure, sure. Um, it, and it sounds like you realize that, and that's what you did. You fell into the pattern, right? The old pattern.
As I
Uh,
always do.
right. So, I remember some of the things we talked about, and you were very adamant about, if it's not a hell yeah these days, it's a hard no. You had these sort of new, uh, I don't know, characteristics, boundaries, this kind of newfound empowerment, strength, whatever you want to call it, that were you were implementing in your life, right? And it's been easy, maybe, to do that because your partner now makes it easy.
Yes. He
Yeah.
respects all boundaries.
Yeah. So your chance to exercise all of this, newfound strength and boundaries is not going to happen with somebody that isn't challenging you. Is going to happen with the ex who has a pattern, right? And it's really easy to fall back into that pattern. So this is not the last opportunity you're going to have, because you are co-parenting. It will come up again, and it'll keep coming up in various ways, because you know what he wants.
Mhm.
And so for you, this is where now you get to exercise these new traits that you are, making a priority in your life. So for you, since in your words, if you give him, a yard, he takes a football field, then stop giving him a yard.
Ouch. You're right. You're right. And I'm really glad you brought up boundaries, because I do try to have them and enforce them. And he is definitely a person, I don't even think because of his personality. I think because of the fact that we were married and
Mm,
the weight that I gave that type of relationship. I didn't really have boundaries. And so I understand why he's now having a hard time with it. But he recently brought up my boundaries, and he was very critical of the fact that now I have them, that he is
of
expected
course.
to fall in line. So, yeah, that is definitely something all of us are having to navigate in a different way now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a challenge, and he's not going to like it because you've set a new precedent, and that's not working well for him. So you need to stick with what they are, out of respect for yourself, out of respect for, the man that you live with now, that you're in a relationship with, and to not send mixed messages to the ex.
I didn't realize this message was mixed, but here I am reminded once again, we are just not in a place where we can have, meals together. Hopefully by the time our children are older, we can all attend high school graduations and,
Mhm.
you know, whatever else
Mhm.
comes along with being parents at those stages of life. I've just really tried to ease our way into, having a more friendly relationship, and maybe it's just not time.
It seems like it's not. It's going to take a little more time. You're there, but he's not there yet.
Yikes.
Hmm. So the messages may not be mixed in your mind,
Right.
but you also are very aware of what his intentions are and how his mind works and how he's likely to think about some of these things. And if it's not in line with what you're thinking, then you just don't open the door. All right.
Definitely shouldn't have opened the door. And next time it'll be Korean barbecue with my children, and he won't even know we're in town.
There you
That's kind
go.
of that's where I am at this point.
There you go. Much smarter. All right. Don't give an opportunity for that to even happen.
You're right. I should know better, and yet I just keep trying. But I don't know that that's the worst thing either. To keep trying to reconcile some level of friendly relationship with the girl's father. It's maybe not fair to him if he still doesn't quite understand where the relationship stands. Maybe I should take a breather. Give him some space for a while.
Yeah. Try that and see how that works.
I sure will. I'm sure I'll be reporting back.
Yep. And then we'll talk.
Absolutely.
All right. So you ready to dive into today's topic?
I am really excited to dive into today's topic, Lori, because one of the things that is going on in my life today is that I got my brows and lashes tinted. And
Okay.
I feel I look they're a little much. I don't know if you know this, but the first day that you get color applied to your face, it can be a little bit darker than it's supposed to be. So,
Uh-huh.
um, that's why I'm looking like this, but I'm really trying to recapture my youth. These fading white eyebrows of mine are not framing my face the way that they did 5 years ago. So here we are. Is 30 the new 20, or do I just look insane?
No, you look beautiful. I will say I did notice the change in the eyebrows, and I was like, "Wow, those look dramatic," but not in a bad way. They just look dramatically different than they did last time I saw you, but they look great. So I don't mean that in a negative way. They look really good, and I get it. It is different when you do something that's really different to your face. Then it takes a while to get used to it. I'm just going to say a quick thing on the topic of this because you also mentioned your lashes. Uh, I was trying to get ready for the show, and like I normally do, I was going to put just a little bit. I don't usually do a whole set, but a little bit of false eyelashes. And oh my God, such a pain in the ass. I
Yes,
finally
they
said, you know
are.
what? I hate this stuff. It's just not worth it. Once you do get those fuckers on, trying to get them off and then get the glue off your eyes is nearly impossible. It's terrible. So I said, you know what? I'm over it. I'm
Good
just
for
not going to
you.
do it. I threw them in the garbage. I said, that's it. So,
I
it
love
is,
that.
it
Rage
is
against the machine.
yeah, so that was my big rebellion today. No more false eyelashes. I, I will
I
not. I
love
will not.
that for you.
I will not be manipulated by the beauty industry
Exactly.
quite
I
that
stopped
much.
wearing yes. I stopped wearing eyelashes on TV when I saw one of my co-anchors, like, mid-sentence, her face is on television and it's starting to flutter off of her face, and I was like,
Oh,
"I'm not doing that. That can't be me. It just can't be me." I wear glasses anyway. I don't think
right.
it was a big deal.
Yeah.
But here I am with, like, dark black
Yeah.
eyebrows for
They,
today, and they will fade, they will diffuse. I'm not super worried about it. I just really should have scheduled this appointment probably a few days before needing to
Well,
be on the internet.
I wouldn't be concerned. You look beautiful. Your eyebrows look fabulous, darling.
Well,
And
thank you.
and moving on. But yeah, there's a lot of this going on, and it seems like it's interesting. What I've noticed is like when I was a teenager, my girlfriend and I mean, yeah, we're playing with makeup and it's fun, and you're kind of moving from, your childhood, into young adulthood. And, that's just part of the process for a girl as you start dabbling, a lot of us, in cosmetics and whatnot. But now we are seeing what we're seeing is younger and younger girls, like 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds,
Mhm.
14-year-olds, really getting into not necessarily playing with the cosmetics so much. There's a little bit of that, but it's probably more relegated to manicures and pedicures for them, which I
Mhm.
also find interesting. But these youngsters are getting into like skincare, like
Yes.
multi-step skincare routines, some of them using products like retin-A and stuff that's anti-aging. And I'm kind of blown away by what is happening. Why are all of these literally children using anti-aging products and expensive stepped skincare routines? It's kind of bizarre.
It's very bizarre, and I have children, little girls who are, 9. They'll be 10 pretty soon, and I'm starting to notice, they don't even necessarily have, like, a face washing routine. I have to remind these kids to brush their teeth twice a day. So, I don't know if it's just something that's going to flip like a switch in the next couple of years. I'm not really looking forward to it, and I'm a millennial, so we ate nothing but preservatives. So I happen to think that I have the youthful radiance because I'm preserved. But these younger kids are eating avocado toast before school, so maybe they just are they already wrinkled at 12, Lori?
That's clearly no.
Are
I
they aging like avocados?
Right. No, and great if they're eating avocado toast before school. It's a lot better than a bowl of Lucky Charms and some of the other garbage
Don't
that's on
knock the preservatives,
the,
Lori.
yeah, right. But I don't know. I think I think there are some good trends around eating, but some of these other trends, I think there's a real here's the thing. You've got a lot, all of the youth are listening to, influencers on social media and TikTok, and they're really fueling this trend. They are exposing, what is it? I try to keep them all straight. The Gen Z, the more younger, 15 to 28, I think, is Gen Zers. And they're really exposing them and influencing them about all of this skincare routine stuff, and giving them advice on, dermatology, preventative skincare, and prejuvenation is what they're calling it now, as opposed to, rejuvenating. And
Wow.
yeah, and so, the thing is, they're making this normal, and it's really not, because a lot of these top influencers that are touting all of this stuff, they're endorsing things, and that's because there's a payoff for them. Uh,
Absolutely.
and of
Click my
course,
link to buy 15 steps of my skincare
right.
system. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're benefiting uh, greatly from
Mhm.
having this influence and tapping into this young audience who they have all of their attention. And then, of course, the companies, the brands that are selling all of these products are, oh, there's a whole other demographic that we can cash in on. So they are creating product lines and, whatever else. All the marketing is targeting these younger kids now. And so you have moms taking their girls into Sephora and wherever else, and buying all of this stuff. So
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, to each his own, but I just feel like this could set up some kind of unrealistic standards at a really young age, and that could be harmful, mentally, emotionally, and feeling like, oh, what do we want to set up so much youth at such a young age to feel like, in order to be, accepted, approved, be on the trend, to be okay, that this is what you need to do. Otherwise, they will be shunned in
They
some
will
way.
be shunned.
I think that's a bad precedent to set. So, that.
Let them be kids too. I think it's
Right.
so bizarre. There were a lot of reels and videos on social media around Christmas time of people showing what they bought their daughters for Christmas. And there was so much skincare, even a lot of makeup, and then Stanley cups. And I'm thinking, when I was 11 and 12 years old, these were not things that I wanted for Christmas. And I'm really thankful. Again, mine are a little bit younger, but I'm just so thankful that they still have toys on the wish list, and can we go to Disney World instead? And you know, I just don't know at what point there's a shift there, because I'm not ready.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I think as long as you keep um keep things keep the main thing the main thing, what is fun and appropriate for 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, and just kind of tackle each age and each phase as you move through them. But keeping your priorities straight. Kids should get to be kids for much longer than it seems like they're getting to be kids these days, between everything that's being thrown at them and everything they are exposed to and everything that is downloaded into their brains at younger and younger ages. It's just it's weird. So I think the more you have a tight grip on that and what you think is age appropriate and healthy for them, the better place you'll be in. There'll be time for all that. We all know childhood
Oh
goes
yeah.
quickly. Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
also need these children to get out of Sephora and Ulta and leave the skincare for those of us who need it, okay? I need to be able to have my things in stock when I need it.
right.
What are they doing? What are they doing?
Yeah, yeah. Just stay in your lane, kids. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
Go play outside.
Right, right.
You don't have any sun damage to reverse yet. Go get some.
Exactly. Come on. Oh, anyway, so how are you feeling? Do you feel like you're in your young 30s, right? Do you feel like you did when you were 20?
I absolutely don't. And I feel when you're in your 20s, a lot of people older than you tell you now's the time to take care of yourself, because you don't want to get my age and realize you should have started. Yeah, I'm one of those now. I'm one of those now. We'll get later to our fitness test that you and I did. But I'm one of those. I definitely didn't take care of myself the way I should have in my 20s. I was living a little bit faster than I do now, and not really caring about it. So I've noticed when I am in my car, I don't know if it's the position of the seat. I have like a little ache in my knee, and I'm like, man, this is going to be a big problem in like 20 years. Like this is I feel this basically every time I drive. So yeah, I'm starting to notice my age is catching me, and I do kind of wish I had spent some more time taking care of myself, and you know, maybe I
Mm-hmm.
should have put collagen in the coffee 5 years sooner than I did. I don't know, but here we are. Yeah, I'm 34 and feeling every bit of it.
Well, yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. First of all, for sure, if you're feeling something that you ought not to be feeling, young lady, then I would say you want to pay attention to that, and see if there's something you can do about it, rather than just wait and hope it goes away, or waiting for it to get worse before you tackle it. So there's that. But and that kind of brings us though to the whole thing about today is it true? And I think it's so interesting because, on the one hand, we do have a segment of society that is certainly taking advantage of everything that is out there now and available for people that want to, biohack their age. I mean, you can, if you've got the time and you've got the resources, there's no end to what's available. So, there's all kinds, there's a bajillion supplements, most of which are crap, but some are extraordinary. So you got to do your research and figure out what that is. There are, these luxury wellness retreats and these concierge wellness services. There's just there's so many things that a person can do now to hack their age, and their chronological age. And if that's a thing for you, and it is certainly for a lot of people, I think it's amazing. Why wouldn't you? Because, if you are somebody that wants to live a really long life, but also not just a long quality life, a long healthy life, then why wouldn't you take advantage of every resource that is available? And every day that goes by, there's more and more, right? But here's the other side. So yeah, is 50 the new 40, and on, is 60 the new 50? Sure, for a small segment of the population.
Hey,
who
those who
are,
have the time and money, right?
well, yes, but I also want to say you can still achieve a lot of that without spending a lot of time and money. I think people start to use excuses to not do certain things that would certainly benefit their
Why don't you
their
just call
health.
me out by name, Loree? It's me.
Not you, not picking on you, Lauren. I'm just saying
I don't have time to go for a run. That's why my knee hurts now.
right. But you know what? I think it's too easy for people to ignore the basics, the fundamentals that don't necessarily cost an arm and a leg, that don't necessarily take 90 minutes of your day. You do not have to. You don't have to get up and be part of the 5 a.m. club. You don't have to get up and start your day with 45 minutes of meditation and then, half an hour, 45 minutes in red light therapy or an infrared sauna, and then do your, 20 minutes of breathing exercises, and then take 75 supplements, right? And then launch into, whatever your day is going to be, and then wrap it up with some reversal of the same. I mean, you can be extreme if you want to, but that's not practical for most people.
No, and
However,
I'll go you one further, Loree. I
okay,
think a lot of us are not as busy as we think we are. I think society has us thinking we live this very fast-paced life. And yes, we all have a lot of responsibilities. We all have a lot we're trying to do. But you're not so busy that you can't work 45 minutes of exercise 3 times into your week. I'm just not convinced. I'm
yeah,
just not convinced there are people who truly absolutely cannot under any circumstances make that work. I think you make time for what you want to,
you do,
and you're
and
not as
that
busy as you think.
exactly, and it doesn't take as much time as you think. If you can do, first of all, you should do something. You got to move. Our bodies are not they're not designed to be sedentary. And we have devolved into a very sedentary lifestyle in our country. The more things that we have available that can do things for us, the less we
Yeah.
are required to do, which means then the less we're capable of doing. The use it or lose it concept is real, and we like convenience, but that's a double-edged sword. So too much comfort, as I like to say, is a thief, and it will rob you of a quality life, and will rob you of your capabilities. So I don't like that. But if you are someone that can go, well, I'm not going to lie to myself. I could fit in 15 minutes a day or 20 minutes every other day to do something physical, then that goes a long way. actually. That goes a long way for people to just be consistent with it. And so, whether it's walking or jogging or doing some sort of calisthenics or something in your house, everyone can find a way and a time, if they really want to your point, to do it. And, maybe while you're binging on Netflix or watching 3 hours of TV at night, you could, get down and do some sit-ups and some squats and some push-ups and do something while you're watching your favorite show. So yeah, there's very few excuses that are really justifiable that that you could use to say, well, I really don't have the time. So that's bullshit.
It
And
is. And
yeah.
you might love it. Early in our coaching journey, Loree, you suggested that I walk. And I think it was like 10 minutes. It was something really, I was almost like, is that even worth getting out the door with my sneakers on? And so the first few times I went walking in my sandals. I was
Uh-huh.
like, I'm not even,
Right.
and so I did. But by the time I had been doing it for a few weeks, I was going out twice a day for 3-mile runs.
Mm-hmm.
So, it really can be something that you come to love, and
Right.
I'm fully convinced everyone has 5 minutes to go
Yeah.
for a walk in their sandals. Go for a walk in your flip-flops for 5 minutes and
Right.
just see where it takes you.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to start somewhere. And then if you just stick with it, you will get addicted to it because, you're going to release all those great endorphins and all those great hormones. You're going to feel good. And you just get this dose of energy that is, it just makes you feel good. And who doesn't want to feel good? So you keep doing it. Right. So
I loved it.
yeah.
I found some little trails I like to walk on, and just
Yeah.
it's so nice to have scenery that's, like, outside and it's not
Yeah.
your phone, and, there was a point in time we had, like, 2 weeks of pouring rain, and I was like, "Well, I'm either gonna not run this week or I'm gonna have to go to the gym." I did try going to the gym, and I hated it, it's the same thing, but indoors. No, it wasn't. It was terrible. I went running in the pouring down rain. So
Ah,
that's just I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I need to get back into it, but,
wow. Good for
I don't
you.
have time.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to talk about that later. But anyway, all right. So there's that. And then the other thing is supplements, and there may be there's some very good things out there that can be very helpful for people. But you really got to do your homework to find out what's worth spending your money on. Because most of the stuff out there is not worth the money you're going to throw at it. Number one. Number two, even if that's not going to be available to you, then just eat better.
Mhm.
Food and movement. It's pretty basic, but we tend to overcomplicate it and think, well, yeah, I don't have time. I can't do that kind of workout. I can't do that kind of training. I can't take all of those supplements. I can't do all the stuff. And so then you do nothing. But if you just dial in some movement on a regular basis and you cut out all of the garbage that most people are eating, you're going to be ahead of most people out there. It's pretty basic. And, you know, that's the dichotomy. So we have this tiny percentage of people that are doing all the stuff, and they are chronologically showing up as younger than what their age would indicate. But then we have a larger percentage of society that is they're the total opposite. Like, okay, like 30 is the new, it's the opposite. 30 is the new 40, and or 30 is the new 50, or 40 is the new 60, and that's not good. So we've got over 70% of Americans that are in the overweight to obese category. Right? We've got younger and younger people getting diseases that used to only happen to people that were, seniors or getting up there. Our life expectancy has dropped in
What?
America. Yeah. So, I mean, it used to be, let me see, I made a note of this. Okay. So in 2017, the average life expectancy was 79.7 years old. And then it dropped over the next 5 years down to 76. So that's a three-year drop. And this was from a few years ago. So now we're like 4 years later. I didn't find the latest one, but the trajectory was down, not up. So I don't know. We've got the average baby boomer now is on 4 to 6 prescription medications, and we have a generation of youth that are getting early onset cancers that was rare before. So uh, it's both. Yeah, some people are getting younger, so to speak, but most people are not. So we have two different, pretty extreme things happening at the same time. So it's interesting.
That is interesting, and that is pretty extreme. You're talking about supplements, and I find it interesting how I'm one of those people. I really reject most supplements. Through our coaching journey, there were certain things I would ask you, is there a specific collagen that you recommend or things of that nature? I know there was a period of time when I was doing protein, adding protein mix to smoothies or whatever. So, some of the more mild supplements, but it seems like a lot of people are either willing to ingest anything or they kind of avoid ingesting anything at all. But you know, for me, it's like there are certain things I want the collagen because I have visible benefits, right? Like
Hmm.
collagen makes sense to me. But on the flip side, like I'm like, stay away from me with some of this other stuff. I don't want any part of that. But I'm also gonna throw down a couple of hot dogs at a barbecue. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So maybe this is the perfect balance. I don't know. How do you navigate that of like kind of figuring out what are the good supplements versus what are the bad supplements versus are we just canceling out our negative lifestyle choices by spending a bunch of money on supplements and we should maybe avoid the hot dogs at the barbecue is what we should be
Yeah.
doing.
Well, I am not a super extremist when it comes to your eating lifestyle. I subscribe to, you know what, if you know what you're doing and eat really well. And by the
Mhm.
way, and eating well means you really have to understand what you're eating and how it's affecting you. A lot of people, I've had this happen a lot of times. I'll have clients, make a note for like 10 days in a row of what their typical eating lifestyle is so that we can see if there's any red flags there, if what are they doing well, what could be a problem that they want to change.
I know that we did this exercise. I feel like I blocked it out because it was traumatizing. Being accountable to the amount of caffeine is just terrible.
So- yeah, so a lot. I've had people say, "Oh, I eat really healthy," and then I'll look at 10 days of what they're taking in, and they believe it, but I'm seeing red flags all over the place. So. I think when I say, you need to eat well, but you need to really understand what eating well looks like because it's really easy to be fooled. There's a lot of conflicting information out there, and the food industry doesn't really have a vested interest in you knowing exactly what eating well is and what it isn't. So you have to take the time to dig in and look at everything that you typically take in and decide if that really is eating well. Because a lot of times you'll find out what you thought was good is not so good. And myself, I mean, I've been doing this for decades. And so I keep learning and I keep learning and I keep reading the new and the latest and the greatest. And even as recently as about a year ago or 6 months ago, I discovered something that I didn't know before about protein powders. And I had to go, wow, all this time I thought XYZ. Now I come to find out that's not necessarily the case. And I made some adjustments. So as new information keeps coming out and new research rises to the surface, we've got to keep looking into stuff because things are changing. And so then you go, oh, here, all these years I thought this was good, and now I realize it's not as good as I thought. I'm wasting a lot of money. I'm going to not buy that anymore. I'm not going to make that part of my routine anymore. So it does take a person that really is invested so much in their health that they're willing to take the time to dig in and do a pretty thorough research on what it is that they're interested in, what they're doing, what they want to do, so that they can really make some informed decisions. And you have to keep doing it because things keep changing.
Things do keep changing. I was actually thinking recently about the keto diet. Do you remember how big that was not
Mm,
very long ago?
I
Um,
do.
I didn't try it, but I know some people who had successful weight loss doing
Mm-hmm.
keto. And keto is just one example. There have been, of course, tons of fad diets over the years and lifestyle, opportunities to make certain changes. But I don't know anyone currently on the keto diet.
Yeah, it's funny how well, it's not funny, I guess. It is, but it isn't. That it's just like the latest fashion trend. I mean, they come in and they go and people want to try it. The thing about keto is and Eric tried that for a while. But here's the thing. So the ketogenic diet was first introduced like 100 years ago, and it was introduced as an effective treatment pretty effective for epilepsy in children, and they found that it helped to manage seizures and some other things in that realm. And there were some really good results from that. So it has a really good purpose. Um, and then they discovered more recently that it can be effective for weight loss, typically, though, short term. But it's
Mhm.
very hard to maintain. And yeah, depending on your genotype and your metabolism and all kinds of, things, it it's not necessarily the best thing for everyone. So it, there just is not one size fits all when it comes to diet and food. Eric did it for a while and he liked it for a while. I wasn't crazy about it because I didn't do it. I was not interested in that. And I think that when you whittle down what you're eating to such a very, very, very small percentage of what's available, um, I don't know that the benefits outweigh the disadvantages, because just, your microbiome, your gut, you need to feed the good bacteria in there certain things so that the bad bacteria don't proliferate. And
Mhm.
that's going to require some sort of variety in what you're taking in. So if you are whittling down to only fats, you're eliminating a lot of things that you need, that you can't get from just fats. The other thing about the keto diet is there were a lot of people doing this diet without doing a lot of good research into what are the right healthiest kinds of fats. And now you are, getting on this slippery slope of taking in perhaps too many bad fats. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's not necessary. I applaud people for trying things, because I think that you really have to just try it on for size and see if it fits for you. How do you feel? How do you look? Are you, is it helping you achieve whatever goals you have? And if it's working for you and you feel great, you have no adverse effects, then carry on. But it's not the same thing that works for this person is just not going to work for this other person. You have to each figure out, your own formula, what your body likes and how it functions best. And that takes some research and some investigating, and then just trial and error of, doing different things.
So if you're standing at the foot of this mountain and you first have to kind of research and find out what's good information and what's just marketing or crap, and then you have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't, and then you kind of have to continue reevaluating both of those things. It really is a lifelong process.
Hmm.
And, you know, are do you find that some people are just not interested?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of
Ouch.
people are a lot of people are just not interested. And it's really easy to be not interested if everything is pretty status quo for you. If you
That's right.
do
Until you're older and you're wishing you
yeah,
had been interested.
exactly, exactly. So, the body is so freaking amazing. It is this dynamic, self-healing, self-organizing, functioning piece of phenomenal equipment that will just, as they say, take a licking and keep on ticking for a long time before it finally goes, okay, I've had enough. I cannot I cannot come back from this onslaught.
Oh
It's
no.
been 35 years. I'm done, and then something's going to happen. So, but it's so amazing. So you can easily be fooled into thinking I don't have to worry about changing anything or, stopping this particular favorite thing that I love to eat or drink because I'm doing great. I feel great. Cool for you. But if you're somebody that has an interest in staying in that state of feeling great and having energy and feeling like, I can take over the world. If you want to have that feeling well into old age, then it would behoove you to pay attention now because a lot of things start cooking before they become, evident in your life, like Alzheimer's. Okay, so by the time a person shows up, maybe in their late 50s or 60s, and they've got markings for Alzheimer's that are presenting themselves. Well, that didn't just happen last week or last month. That started happening decades earlier.
Right.
So you just don't know it, but now you're at a point where it's a lot harder to turn the clock back and do
Right.
something about it because it's been going on and percolating in there for the last 20 or 30 years because you thought that what you were doing, you were going to get away with it.
One of the things I've noticed, Lori, is it does seem like people in my age group are kind of interested in preventing those, diseases that traditionally come along later in life that can be really um, almost like end of life or drastically change your lifestyle, such as maybe dementia or something
Yeah.
to that effect. It seems like we are more aware of those things and are looking to prevent those, or at least hoping to prevent those however we can. And I do think social media is one of my least favorite things in existence, but we have these TikTok doctors. I say it in air quotes, but they're actual physicians who are just like the rest of us creating content for their social media pages. And some of them have some really valuable information about,
Mhm.
foods that you can eat to set you up for success if you are looking to prevent certain diseases in the future. Like, particularly if you have like a family history of something and it's on your radar, here's something you can do to help give yourself a little jump start on preventing these diseases. But on the flip side, we also kind of have people younger and younger, as you pointed out, are falling victim to certain types of cancers that we're not necessarily used to seeing in these younger age groups. There's one influencer in particular who comes to mind who had breast cancer, and she documented her whole journey from diagnosis through she was cleared of breast cancer, but that's a continued monitoring of her situation. And she's gotten a lot of criticism online during and after for drinking alcohol because it's been found that alcohol consumption can be a cause of breast cancer in women. So
Mm.
we have these different things going on social media, and of course everybody's a critic and everybody knows everything. But, there's kind of a double-edged sword there too of there's bad information, there's good information, and then there's just people sharing their opinions on things that
Right.
we didn't welcome those opinions.
Yeah.
How do you feel about younger people kind of trying to take these health issues into their own hands through the power of social media?
Right. Well, that's a good one. Because you're right. It is a lot of a bit of a double-edged sword. I mean, there are a lot of great people out there using their voice and, credentialed, credible people that have great information. And thank God we have certain platforms that will not censor people that are trying to be really helpful and offer alternative, ways of health and wellness and doing things, or treating diseases. And that's really amazing. And I love it. And I think it's really valuable. And then you have the other side where there are people just, like you said, just spousing opinions and sharing their own personal stories, which can be very powerful, and some of them super helpful. Again, there's no right or wrong answer, because how do you know? You just have to use your best judgment, right? And if something resonates with you, and here's what I say, if it's something that you feel like, okay, this person says for this situation, which is similar to my situation, they did X, Y, and Z and it worked for them. Okay, is there any harm in me doing X, Y, and Z? If the answer is no, well, why wouldn't you? If it worked for someone else and they're not, especially if they're not trying to sell you something. If somebody's just sharing a personal story, a personal anecdote about, here's what I had to battle with, or here's what I was up against, here's my challenge, and here's the solution that worked for me, that's great. That's from the heart. Somebody's just trying to share something clearly that they found valuable in their life, and they hope that you can too. If they're trying to sell you something, then I always look at, I don't know. I'm going to be skeptical, and I'm going to do a little more digging and research. But if they're not trying to sell you something and there's no harm in it, like if it's just a particular, food or something that they found really worked, I mean, why wouldn't you try it? What do you have to lose? So if there's no real obvious risk involved, why not? But when people start selling you products, or when they start citing surveys and data, I've learned to, if it's something that's really intriguing, I've learned to dig in to see the funding source. Who's funding the survey? Who's funding the data? Who's funding the research? Because depending on who that is, that's going to determine,
if they're trying to sell you something.
Right, exactly. So you really have to, is that your cat moving around there?
The dog just dove across the room. My goodness.
Anyway, does that answer? Did I get off track? Did I answer your question?
No, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. I do have, I miss being able to run. I got out of the habit, and 3 miles twice a day was my standard, and I loved it. I was thriving, but I'm out of the habit, and now I have this achy knee. What are some workout options for longevity? So if there's something that I can start now and it's not going to cause inflammation in this achy knee 6 months from now, what can I do? What is something I can get my children interested in that they will still be able to do, longer and later into their lives?
Right. Okay. So that's interesting. First of all, I would definitely look at if you have a knee that's aching, and that seems to be something that is consistent. Okay. So one of the things you said was, what can I do that won't cause inflammation? So your knee's already got inflammation. That's why it aches.
I mean, I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a doctor. No one's told me anything. I'm just going to continue to ignore it because ignorance is bliss.
But are you feeling blissful with your achy knee?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
All right. So the thing is, right, you already have inflammation in your knee, which is why it aches. So one of the things that I like to look at first is if there's anything that you are consistently consuming that is causing inflammation, because the wrong kind of diet will create inflammation. So if you already have a little bit of a vulnerable spot, even then, and if inflammation is going to show up somewhere, is it going to show up in that spot, right? So I would look at diet, number one. Okay. And then I would look at some things that you can do to reduce inflammation, like an infrared sauna. If you are able to, a lot of cities now have infrared sauna studios, and those are phenomenal for reducing inflammation. So I would I would consider looking into something like that. A lot of people have a lot of good things, really good things to say about those copper braces. So you can get obviously the brand that we see advertised all this time is the Tommy Copper. I can't speak from personal experience, but I know people that have used them and found out that actually really helps. So you can order something for your knee that's a copper wrap, put it on your knee every day and see if that helps. Now, as far as exercises, I would say, probably some of the things I'm going to have to give it some thought. I don't want to just start rattling off stuff, but because I need to know exactly, what do you do usually that makes it feel worse? Is there something that if you avoid it, it seems like it gets better? We could go into a whole thing there, but there will be certain exercises. Like maybe if you're in the gym, and I don't know if you're going to a gym these days, you said you don't like gyms, so that's probably not going to happen. Maybe there would be certain pieces of equipment that could help strengthen the tendons and muscles and ligaments around your knee joint. That could be helpful, but we would have to come up with some way to do that at home if you don't want to go to the gym. So those are just a few things off the top of my mind without getting too granular about this right now.
But there's always something. There's always something we can do to give ourselves some entry point into fitness. And you and I took a little test of our fitness, didn't we, Loree?
We did. And I'm so glad because I was like, maybe she's going to do it. Maybe she's not. So I was pleasantly surprised when you said I did it. So here's the thing. I'll just give everyone a bit of an idea of what we're doing. So I've been reading. I'm a voracious reader, and now I'm about finished with this wonderful book called The Longevity Guidebook by Peter Diamandis. And I had come across this great little exercise blueprint in the book that is going to help measure like your fitness benchmarks. Right now, this says fitness 50 benchmarks. So I feel like they were kind of targeting if you're around that age of 50, these are some benchmarks that would determine if there's 3 categories. Are you fit? Are you fitter? Or are you in the fittest category? So I thought, okay, well, you're under 50 by a lot.
I didn't realize it was called that. So I was thinking I was doing okay. Now I'm thinking maybe.
I don't know, because I was like, it doesn't really clarify if the word 50 is referring to age. I looked in the book, I'm like, okay, but what else would it be referring to? So I thought, well, this is going to be interesting because Lauren is way less than 50. I'm over a decade beyond 50. So that's going to make this interesting to see how things shake out.
You smoked me in all categories, didn't you?
Well, I don't know. I doubt that. I mean, I've always remained active my entire life. So in one way, shape, or form, I've always been doing something. There's been very few periods that have gone by where I've done nothing. But okay, so let me see here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's about a dozen categories on here, ranging from push-ups to a plank hold, a grip test, squats, and it goes all the way down to, a mile walk or a run and 25 burpees. So I said to Lauren, do you want to do this? And let's just see how things shake out for us. And depending on, how you do determines if you are in, again, one of those 3 categories. So,
and the categories again were fit, fitter, and fittest. I feel maybe we need to establish a new category just for me that is, not quite there yet. Lacking in fitness.
On the way. Okay. So I did everyone this morning, except for I didn't do the sit to stand Because I did not understand what they meant by that. Sitting in a chair and standing up, sitting on a couch and standing up, sitting on the floor and standing up. I wasn't sure what he meant by that. The other one right below it is sit to rise, no hands. And I thought, okay, I'm going to assume they mean sitting on the floor and getting up because, I don't know. There's not that. It's how hard can it be to stand up out of a chair, right? So,
Right.
for the average person. Anyway, so I skipped the sit to stand with no qualifications and I went right to the sit to rise, no hands from the floor up. So that's otherwise I did them all. So do you want to go through them and see how we compare?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Let's go through. I'm embarrassed. I'm
Don't be
so embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed. It's a marker and it's something to go, all right, well, maybe this is
It's a
something I wanna
tool.
work on.
It's just a tool.
It's a tool. Good attitude. Okay, you start.
Push-ups in 50 seconds. I did 34 of them.
Ooh, nice. That's awesome. Okay. Did you do traditional push-ups or did you do what I call the girly push-ups from your knees?
Oh, definitely. I'm not coordinated enough to do them from my knees, but I don't think I have good form either. So,
Okay. So you did regular plank style push-ups.
yes.
Okay. And you did how many?
34 in
50
seconds.
seconds. Okay, so that's amazing. You were
Is it?
Yeah, right? Because you landed right between the fitter and the fittest category. So you
Okay, I
landed
did not compare my numbers to the categories, so this will be news to me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next. Okay, so for me, now I have a shoulder injury that is not quite 100% yet. So as much as I can do traditional push-ups, I didn't because I knew I would aggravate my not quite healed left shoulder. So I had to I had to do the girly push-ups and
That's okay.
I had to be really careful. So I only got 25 in the 50 seconds, which landed me square in the middle. So the fitter. Okay. So I'm okay
Yours
with
probably were more correct in form than
that.
mine.
I can attest that they were good form. Okay. What's the next one?
I had planking next.
Yeah. How'd you do?
I did 56 seconds and it nearly killed me.
Okay. Okay. So your plank hold was just a few seconds shy of a minute, which puts you just shy of the fit category. Okay. So 4 seconds. I mean, that's pretty good. You're knocking on the door. If you did it again tomorrow, you could probably do it.
Yeah,
All right.
I won't do it though.
Okay. So I did the plank hold for exactly 2 minutes, which put me right in the middle. I'm in the fitter category. So
How
not
about that
fittest.
core strength?
Okay. So yeah, I'm not going to complain about that. All right. So the next, and I realize you may or may not been able to do this if you don't have something that you could do a dead hang from. Do you have?
I did not dead hang.
Okay.
No, I did not.
Okay. I love doing dead hangs, and I have a pole out in my garage, a metal pole that I do that, and I do it almost every day. So that's something I've been doing for a long time, although it's a little difficult to do it for very long these days because it is in the garage and it's winter, so it's freezing. So I did run out though and do it this morning. I haven't done it for a few days, and I did 75 seconds, so minute 15, which puts me right in the middle of the fitter and fittest category.
Congratulations. What is that a
And
test of? Is that upper body?
a dead hang is a grip test. So you're basically just holding onto the bar and you're just hanging. You don't do anything. You don't swing. You're just hanging. Because a lot of a benchmark, that's why it's on here for your age is your grip strength. They can actually use that as a benchmark to measure people's physical age. And
Well, I need help opening containers. So I'm guessing I would have not done well with the dead hang.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to do. If you go out and you just next time you're at maybe if you're at a playground or something with your girls and there's monkey bars or something there to hang on, just go up and hang and see if you can make 15 seconds. It's very difficult. So it takes practice
Challenge
to build
accepted.
up. Yeah, okay, so you'll have to fill me in on that. Next one then was squats. How'd you do?
Well, I know that I have poor form again in the squats. I do have, I'll give myself this little out. I have hyperextension in a lot of my joints. So my form really is bad in these, but I did 40 squats.
Okay, that's amazing. 40 squats in 50 seconds puts you right between the fitter and the fittest categories. So go, Lauren. My legs are definitely my weak spot. And so I did 28 squats in the 50 seconds. So that put me between the fit and the fitter. So, womp womp, not so great, but working on it.
But you got that dead hang for 75
I
seconds.
got the dead hang down. Yeah. Okay. The wall squat hold. How did you do?
I was at 68 seconds, and again, it nearly killed me.
Yeah, I made the 90 seconds, and I was ready to be done as soon as the 90 seconds hit on my timer. I was like, okay, I'm done. My legs were burning. So I did make it, but it wasn't easy. Not easy at all. That one's deceiving because when you
It
first
is. It looks a lot easier.
right? And when you first do it, you're like, oh, I think I could do this for quite a while. And then, 30 seconds in, you're going, whoa, my
I
legs are
don't
on
want
fire.
to.
Right. Okay. Lunges.
In 50 seconds, I had 27 lunges.
Okay. I only had 22. So,
Okay.
but hey, we were both between the fit and the fitter category. So nothing to complain about there. Again, I did not do sit to stand. What did you do that? What did you do?
I didn't. Like you, I was unclear about what that one was, and I also skipped sit to rise.
Okay. So the sit to rise, that's another good marker that's often used in measuring in this measurement for these metrics is sitting on the floor and then like cross-legged and then being able to stand up without using your hands. So try that later and see what you think. But
was this a timed one, or was it how many times can you do it?
It's how many times can you do it, and then based on that, like they have, if you can't do any, then that's a 0 and you're in the you're in the fit category, I guess. But if you can do 1, you're in the fitter category. If you can do 2, you're in the fittest category. All right. So I smoked this, but I practice these all the time when I work out. So I did 12. And
wow.
But again, I've been doing these for a long time. So, but it is interesting to see if you can sit down on the floor cross-legged like you did when you were a kid and pop up just using your legs from a cross-legged position without using your hands.
Yes. I have 2 children, so I feel like that would be easy for me. I probably do it all the time and don't even think about it.
Yeah, so check it out. And you may. Single leg balance, that's really easy for me. So I could do that. I could probably do that for 20 minutes. But so I did it for the 50 seconds for the fittest, and then I got bored and stopped.
And then you called it quits. I went ahead and pushed it to 60 seconds. The flamingo. We do that all the time.
Right. Exactly. We did that in yoga. All right. I have a treadmill, so I jumped on there. I do not do cardio. so that was going to be
a hot take.
Yeah, I don't do cardio. Once in a blue moon, I'll do a little sprint if I'm outside with the dog, but I walk fast, but I don't like do a targeted cardio routine on any sort of a regular basis. So it took me 14 minutes and 8 seconds to do 1 mile.
Okay. I am not an indoor walker. I prefer to be outdoors. So I did take the dog with me. So I feel like I have some variables at play. It's hilly, it's mostly uphill, and it took me 17 minutes to get in 1 mile with the dog who's not great on a leash.
All right. Fair enough. So. I think we did okay. I mean, well, we didn't get to the fittest category or to the fit even, but okay, little work to do there. Last one, burpees. How do you feel about those?
Well, I remember doing burpees in like conditioning when I was in high school sports, but I refused to do burpees today. I'm sorry.
Oh, you just said no.
I said no, thank you. I will take a 0 for that one.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna we're circling back around to that, and I'm going to challenge you on that again at some point down the road.
As life coaches do.
Yeah. All right. I did my burpees. I did the damn burpees. It took me a minute and 23 seconds to do 25 of them. So I got to the fittest category there.
Look at you.
Yeah. So I bombed in a few, but I did okay in most, and I excelled in a couple. So I know what I have to work on.
Well, I love this. It's interesting to compare the two of us on this. What is it? Fit 50?
Yeah. Well, fitness 50 benchmarks.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I want a do-over with a different older partner.
A different older partner. Okay. All right. Well,
maybe not you.
All right. Well, talk to your dad.
There you go.
But yeah, so you guys, if anybody's interested in this, I'm sure that they have. You can just Google this and find the benchmarks, or check out Peter Diamandis's book, The Longevity Guidebook.
We will link that book in our show notes, and it's not an affiliate link, so no one's trying to sell you anything.
No,
but we'll also, I think we should put these in the Facebook group.
Oh, that'd be fun. Sure.
So people can find these.
All right, let's do it.
Let us know how you do. If you can beat Loree in any category, let us know.
I am sure there will be plenty of that. Anyway, what else before we wrap up? Was there anything else you wanted to share with everyone today?
Well, I guess I just need to know what you think. Is 60 the new 50?
For some, absolutely.
Is that a decision that you make at 60, or is that a decision that you're making at 20, 30, and 40?
Yeah, you need to make it. Here's the thing. You should be making those decisions the younger you are, the easier it's going to be. Because there's less of a chance that you're going to have something that you have to unwind, something that you're going to have to fix, a disease that you're going to have to overcome. Whereas if you start earlier, then you can prevent a lot of those things. Now, so that being said, though, there are plenty of people out there that have found themselves at 60 or older and went, oh, I have let myself go. I'm in a big hole. I've got this issue I'm dealing with and that issue. And they have turned back the clock. They have come back out of that hole that they dug and are living much healthier, happier lives because of it. So it's never too late. But I mean, why would you wait?
I love that. I love that mindset. And, I have to remind myself it's not too late for me in this knee either. but it also isn't too early.
Yes, but mainly it's not too late. So you can start doing something now.
I guess I need to find a copper brace and get my butt back out here running 3 miles a day.
I mean, why not? See what happens.
Might as well. I used to love it.
Do what you love. Do the exercise that you know you'll do.
Yeah. Outdoors. I do like running, walking, jogging outside.
There we go. All right, everyone. So there's your wisdom nugget, is just start doing something now and do something that you know you're likely to do. It's hard to maintain something that you hate. If swimming is the best exercise on the planet, that's awesome if you love to swim. But if you don't, you're probably not going to be able to maintain a routine that involves swimming. So find something that you can at least tolerate well and hopefully enjoy to some degree, and make that part of your new practice, and then see where that takes you.
Everyone loves burpees.
Do they?
They don't. Find us on social media. Also, find Loree at loreebischoff.com. Tune in again next week. We're on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to like and subscribe. All of the information for today's show will be in the show notes. And if you found value in our conversation, please share it out. Let people know about your favorite podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Share the shift. Spread it around. Go make some epic shift happen in your lives, you guys. See you next time.